What's going on, everybody? DStyleBoxing here. Thanks to those joining me live and to those that'll be joining me and Haplotype on archive. What's going on, Haplo?
Hey, man. Thanks for having me on again. I appreciate it as always.
Yeah, we're remaking this video, but I think it's going to be better than the first one, to be honest with you. Kind of probed a little bit what we're going to talk about off the air. For those tuning in, I'm going to have the chat open. Feel free to leave comments, questions, etc., and I'll definitely get to those. I'll have the chat open in a couple of minutes. I don't quite have it yet.
Feel free to.
There we go. I got it now. All right, and if you like the video, don't forget to thumbs it up, and if you don't like it, thumbs it down. I don't give a shit. Okay, if you're a McGregor fan, thumbs it down. Right? I love the thumbs down. Right? Anyway, what's up to Leonard Ellerby on the not the real one on the chat. And ASHRHNS, D-Style, your guests, what's happening? I become a regular. Hey, what's up, bro? What's going on? All right, so let's go ahead and get this started. Here's the narrative, and you hear this. I know this voice sounds familiar, but the big puffy gloves, you know, that guy, okay, on Fox Sports 1 called Skip Bayless, who claims he's a lifelong boxing fan. A big fan of Muhammad Ali, and says he just loves the sport. But when it comes to boxing, they box with the big puffy gloves. You know, you have Nelly just recently. Great timing for this video, by the way. Comes out and says that to Conor, boxing is like playing with pillows, right? It's like a pillow fight. That's what boxing is. You know, how's Floyd going to hurt him? He's going to put his hands behind his back and let Floyd hit him, just to show him that you can't hurt me. That's what they say.
He's got 20 times the punch resistance of Mayweather.
Well, to be specific, he said they have 20 times the pain tolerance of a boxer. Now, did they test this? No. This is talking out of their ass, of course. But why? Because apparently MMA fighters, you know, never get knocked out with punches. Apparently, they only get knocked out with the kicks and elbows and knees. Okay.
Yeah. Tell that to Kimbo Slice.
Right. But then not only that, they fight with a little itty bitty little. They might as well not even exist. Gloves, the little gloves. They're only 4 ounces, they say, and they are only 4 ounces. But we're going to talk about that. You know,
we got some with us right here to show.
Yeah, well, we're gonna show those in a moment, and you know, I've talked about this, but visualization really matters. Visualization is very important. Visualization is everything. It'll be everything come August. When's that fight? August 28th or August 25th or 6th, whatever it is. I forgot, but late August. Okay, visualization is going to mean everything. All right. And the narrative is, well, Conor, I mean, he's gotten punched with little itty bitty little gloves. He's been kicked in the head. He's been kneed. How is Floyd going to possibly hurt? It's going to be like a tag match. I remember when you were a kid. Does everybody remember when you were kids and you would play tag? Like, you're it. And then, you know, Floyd's going to run around he's going to touch Conor. He's going to run around the ring saying, you're it. And then Conor's got to touch him. And then say, you know, it's a game of tag, Haplotype.
Yeah, dude, they're going to be like hiding behind the ring post, you know, running around the ring.
Yeah,
it'll be fun.
I mean, you would think that guys never break orbital bones, never break noses, never injure their eye socket, okay, or break a fucking eye socket. They never break their hands. They never fuck up their ankles, their ACLs, whatever it is in boxing. These things never happen. It's a completely safe sport. Guys never die in the ring. It's never happened.
That's never happened. No, Max Baird never killed 3 guys in the ring.
You know, interestingly enough, what was the argument that Dana White and USC used in order to legalize mixed martial arts in the state of New York? Well, which I don't have a problem with. It should be legalized. Grown men should be able to do whatever the fuck they want. But with that said, what argument did they use? The argument was, well, you guys legalized boxing. And boxing's far more dangerous. Look at all the brain trauma, brain damage that boxing causes to individuals and the injuries that it causes. Far more boxers die in the ring. Far more boxers end up in comas in the ring. And these are from televised fights, right? And this was, you know, the argument that was used in order to legalize mixed martial arts in many states. That you have boxing legalized, and it's far more dangerous. You know, which is actually a good way to get legalized. It was a good argument, right?
Yep.
But all of a sudden, once it gets legalized, all of a sudden, boxing's safe. All of a sudden, it's just, you know, pillow fighting.
Yep.
You know,
It's pillow fighting.
now tell it to the fighters that had collapsed lungs. Tell it to the fighters that broke their fucking ribs. Okay, that it's pillow fighting. Tell it to the fighters that have pissed blood. Tell that to the fighters that have sustained career-ending injuries, you know, after wars that they've had in the ring. Tell that to them, right? Tell that to the fighters that have fought him with, like Sergio Martinez. I mean, messed up his, what was it, his ankle or his knee or something like that, over there in Argentina. Who was he fighting there? After the Chavez fight?
Dude, that the British dude, the big dude.
Murray, right?
Murray, yes, Murray.
You know what I mean? To tell that to Yuri Foreman, who was fighting with a fucked up leg against Miguel Cotto. I mean, this
oh
idea.
My God. Do you remember that ref? He was like, they stopped the fight, and then he's like, wait a minute. You want to keep going?
He kicked the towel out of the ring.
Yeah.
By the way, that same ref, right, was responsible for like a death in a televised fight.
Was that
right?
Mercanti Jr.?
Yes.
Yeah.
I couldn't remember the name, but as soon as you said it, I was like, "Yep, that's him."
Mercanti Jr. Dude, he kicked the towel out.
Was it the Pernell Whitaker fight? I forget what fight it was. Like a dude died in the ring because of him. I don't know if it was literally in the ring or he later died in the hospital, but the fighter ended up passing away. Okay. Who was which was the fight on HBO where the was the guy Russian? He ended up in a coma.
Oh yeah, I remember you mentioning this recently, and I was thinking about the exact same thing.
Where Jim Lampley, who cries about everything, couldn't cry about that.
He fought a Cuban guy, and the Cuban guy beat him up so bad, and then he ended up in a coma. I don't know what happened to him. But the thing that really bothered me about that was the fact that on the next HBO, whatever, big event, they were like, if you want to donate money to this guy, how about you guys donate some money? Like, you want us to donate money to this guy? Like, you put
we're already donating. We're paying for fucking subscription.
We're watching the fight. We're donating, you know, like doesn't this guy have insurance? Like, what are you doing? Like, oh my God.
Actually, after that fight, fighters, it was not reported truthfully. The fighters have to have it's like their insurance has to cover
insurance, right? Yeah. Like, I was like, what are you asking people for? They were just trying to like be virtuous or something. Like,
yeah. But just to clarify, it doesn't mean that they have to fork up $1 million to the insurance company, the promoter. It just means that if the fighter ends up in a coma or needing surgery, then you have to cover up to $1 million of the insurance has to cover up to that. So that was not reported properly at first, but that was from people that just don't know what they're talking about. But you know, it is what it is. But point is, it's a dangerous sport. It's been known as a dangerous sport forever, you know, and
it's the most dangerous sport.
It's the most dangerous sport. You could probably argue Muay Thai is up there too, because that's brutal as well.
They haven't had as many deaths as boxing. I mean, I guess boxing's been around.
It's not as popular worldwide either, but I get what you mean. But I agree. Overall, I agree. It's definitely.
And one of the reasons why, DStyle, one of the reasons why that boxing is the most dangerous sport is because of the gloves. Those pillows that they keep talking about. Those pillows. Now, you tell me.
They don't feel nice when you get hit with them?
You tell me, how hard can you hit a wall with your bare hand and then put a pillow on your hand, tape it around, and see if you can't hit that wall with more force than with your bare fist? I mean, what are they talking about, dude? I mean,
and you're going to hit it with more confidence too.
It even says on, the definition of a boxing glove, okay? Modern boxing gloves reduce superficial facial injuries, right? That's what they're designed to do.
Exterior,
Aside from protecting someone's hands, they're designed to make the bout last longer because the person isn't going to get cut as easily as they would with the bare fist. Reduce superficial facial injuries. However, as modern boxing gloves give their user the ability to throw stronger punches to the head without damaging the hands, they also increase the risk of brain damage for participants. That is why boxing gloves are the most dangerous weapons in combat sports.
Yeah, that does make them dangerous because it gives the human hand the ability to hit somebody hundreds of times in a bout without breaking your hand. That's what it's designed to do. You can't punch somebody 300 times with your bare fist and not fuck up your hand,
Hell no.
You're going to fuck up your hand. Your punch selection is going to be reduced. It's just going to happen. And that's what we're going to talk about here. Now, with that said, what type of...
before you go on, let me interrupt real quick.
Sure.
The definition of MMA gloves includes this sentence as well. The introduction of gloves was intended to encourage fighters to use their hands for striking to allow more captivating matches for fans. But the gloves were intended to protect the hands and increase the amount of punches that could be thrown, just as you just said. Sorry to interrupt. Go on.
Right, because guys were messing up their hands, or they were throwing very few punches with a closed fist, and they were mostly using their palm at times to strike. Right.
Yeah. Like Bas Rutten. Right.
Yeah. So especially if you wanted to, especially when they had like 4 fights in one night, you break your hand in the first fight, you're not going to be able to fight the second fight. So it would depend. But yes, like Bas Rutten, and that's just the way that goes. Okay. Now I did want to say this. So there was a time where like these people can't make up their minds. Like either boxing is dangerous or it's not. Okay. Now it is. That's reality. But I remember watching a video, and you guys could search this stuff. You can look this up. They're still on YouTube. Okay. I'm very reluctant to play that type of stuff, but especially from Zuffa, because they'll flag it quick. But Joe Rogan, all right, was being interviewed one time, and this was at a time where very few states had MMA legalized. Right now, just for the record, I hope all 50 states legalize MMA. I don't think it should be illegalized, right?
We're calling it cockfighting for humans.
Right. I mean, that's what they're calling it now. Whether MMA fans like it or not, boxing commissions introduced the rounds. Boxing commissions introduced the gloves. Boxing commissions introduced the weight classes. That made like MMA as you know it today not only plausible, like where they can make it legalized, right? I believe it made it better, especially long term. Okay, boxing commissions did that. That's number one. Number two, just for the record, the same commission selects judges for MMA fights as they do for boxing. Okay, that is a fact. And if you ever run into anyone who tells you, oh, I don't watch boxing because the judges are biased or the judges are corrupt, remember, the same commissions select judges and refs, right? Okay, the same ones for MMA because boxing commissions are the ones that made MMA legal, okay? Boxing commissions did that. Who's your daddy? Thank you. Now, okay, with that said, I still remember, back to the Joe Rogan point, and it's actually a good point, right? So he said, he's like, for those that think that boxing is safer than MMA. He said, remember, in boxing, if you're getting your ass kicked, if you're getting punched repeatedly in the face and you can't stop it, you have no other
boxers have
choice
no
but to
way.
defend yourself with only your fist.
Boxers have no way of tapping out unless they just fall down on purpose, you know.
Well, or you throw yourself out of the ring like Kermit Cintron. But,
right.
but his point was, he said, in MMA, you have options. If you're hurt, you could grab the guy. If he's beating the shit out of you with his fist, you could grab him, you could throw him to the ground. Okay, so you have more options to defend yourself. Where in MMA, you basically become you become like an animal in a cage being hunted. If you can't defend yourself with just your fist, if you can't stop the fist from hitting you, you're just going to keep getting hit in the face, or
the body.
And the body, yes, exactly. But he was saying the face, right? So at the end of the day, he made that argument to say, well, boxing's far more dangerous. Dana White, same thing, promoter of the UFC. This is how Dana White would describe boxing, right? Back when he was trying to get MMA legalized. He would say, well, boxing is two guys standing in front of each other, just hitting themselves in the face as hard as they can until one guy goes down. Now, that's not exactly the best way to describe boxing.
You know what? The reason why that's what boxing is because that's what entertains people.
Well, true. But I don't know if they just stand there and hit each other is an accurate way to.
No, they don't just stand there. I mean, going back to ancient Rome, the defense was an emphasis, dodging punches, slipping, moving, but right. The fact that they had the rules, even thousands of years ago, they had the rules where you could only use your fists in a boxing match, was for the entertainment of the people that were watching. Well, they didn't want to see the wrestling.
Exactly. Even in Greece, right? Mm-hmm. That the pancreas fighting, which is basically like UFC 1 type fighting, you know what I mean? Like Vale Tudo. Right. They had wrestling, right? And then they had their version of boxing where you could only fight with your fist.
But they had boxing like almost exactly. I mean, in ancient Greece, they had boxing more like how it is now than they did in England, in the 1700s.
Well, I mean, it's a step further though. So for those that don't like clinching, if you tried to clinch, they had a dude swat you with a fucking I forgot what it was, like a rod.
Yeah, like a switch.
Yeah, you would get hit with a fucking switch if you tried to clinch. You know what I mean? Because they knew that was like that's what if you were hurt, that's what you wanted to do. It's a human instinct. When you're hurt, you like fight or flight. Either you run away or you try to grab the person, right? And in boxing, they're going to separate you. They won't swat you nowadays, but they'll separate you. All right?
Well, sometimes the referee will give you a little slap on the arm.
Well, I mean, I don't know if that compares to us.
No, it doesn't. But it's sort of, it's a little bit of a
think about it. Why, if they had pancreas, right? Why did they have boxing? Because that's what people wanted to see. Okay, I'm pretty sure they respected the wrestling. I'm pretty sure they respected the pancreas. But why was strictly boxing?
Well, here's the thing, dude. Like, you always hear this narrative that, UFC is gaining so much popularity and boxing is dying and this and that and the other thing because, people are perceiving something in a different way than it really exists. Boxing is the most popular combat sport in the world still to this day.
Yeah.
Even though it's like if you take MMA from its beginning until now, it's gained so much popularity from nothing until where it is. But then, boxing has been on like sort of a downward slide, but at the same time, it's still more popular worldwide than.
Well, I mean, let's analyze it. So these are just facts, okay? I don't know about the pros, but there's more amateurs boxing today, okay, than ever, right? That's just right. I don't know that applies to 2017, but that applied around 2010 when I looked at that stat, okay? But just to put it in perspective, right? Um, it's still an Olympic sport, and it's nowhere near in danger of being abolished from the Olympics, right?
Right.
In fact, it's the only sport that, because it was dangerous, that they didn't allow
Didn't they
women
take
to compete
wrestling
in.
out of the Olympics?
No, they're not. They're never going to take out wrestling or boxing.
I think I don't know. I have to look it up, but
I heard that it was proposed, but it was like procedure. It's something they always do with all sports. Like
okay.
after a certain amount of decades, they propose it, but it was just it was
Yeah.
not in danger. Wrestling
I've actually been to the island of Olympia in Greece,
yeah.
and they have like markers of the events that were there in the original Olympics.
Right.
And boxing was clearly like one of the events. Wrestling was another. Javelin.
Was pancreas in the Olympics?
No, pancreas was not in the Olympics.
So it was like a thing in Greece, but it wasn't like actually in the Olympics. All
No,
right, makes
no,
sense.
this is thousands of years ago, man. I mean, these boxing, this is the thing, man. The boxing glove, as we know it today, is one of the most anciently evolved weapons in the history of humankind.
Right.
I mean, it's gone from wrapping leather straps around your hand to protect them, and like in Homer's Iliad, to in the Roman times where they made them actual weapons with brass or whatever bronze, like studs on the end of it.
Right.
It used to be a thing where, in order to accept a challenge in a boxing fight, that someone would throw their cesti in the ring, like John L. Sullivan of ancient Greece gets in the ring. He says, I'm challenging anybody out here. Come fight me. I'm going to take the prize. And someone would throw their gloves in the ring. That was a thing. Like, gloves are like part of the essence of boxing history.
Well, really good history lesson there, and just to, because it goes back even further, because they had boxing in ancient Egypt as well.
Oh yeah.
So
Well,
it goes back even further.
The earliest known depiction of boxing gloves is from a Minoan wall painting, and I could be wrong, but I've done a lot of research on this. There's a Minoan wall painting of two young guys boxing, and one guy has like a glove on that looks like a mitten, sort of, and this is like 1400 BC. 1400 BC, a boxing glove in a painting. And it looks a lot like, if you want to draw a comparison, in my mind, when I see it, I look at it and I say, it looks like the thumbless gloves that Leonard made. Oh, dude, who is that guy that when he came back from the detached
So
retina?
you're saying Leonard really went old school?
Oh, he went super old school, because he went with the thumbless glove, like where you couldn't even see the thumb. It wasn't even like a separate thing. It wasn't like an attached thumb like what they're using now.
That just sounds uncomfortable. I don't know what it is, but it just sounds uncomfortable.
It looks like a light bulb that you put your hand into. It's just like a ball. And that's what he made. Who is the guy he came back against when he came back from the detached retina? When he had the Jerry curl. Anyway, yeah. So the thumbless glove. Yeah. So I mean, it goes back thousands of years, bro. I mean, like literally thousands of years. This is possibly the most refined weapon in human history.
Yeah, especially the longevity of it. And it goes back to this point. Like boxing was never designed, in my opinion, right? And I think there's data and history to prove this. Boxing was never intended to be the ultimate form of street combat or anything like that. It was intended for entertainment purposes. Okay. Now
Absolutely.
that's not to say that a professional boxer wouldn't beat the shit out of some average dude or isn't dangerous against anyone in the streets. Of course they are. Okay, their hands are lethal weapons. But so don't misconstrue my points. But it wasn't intended for that. It was specifically intended. All right, and I'm talking about post Marquis of Queensberry. I'm not talking about, because this is where people get it misconstrued. Okay,
you can go back super much farther than that, DStyle, because
no. I get that, but here's my point, because people will bring up, oh well, John L. Sullivan had a school for self-defense, and John L. Sullivan knew more than just fist fighting. Okay.
Oh yeah, that was MMA.
You know what I mean? That
was MMA for that time. I mean, they were
it's
throws.
Old school boxers knew more than just fist fighting.
Absolutely.
It just so happens that if they wanted to fight for prize money, well, there's the way people wanted them to do it. It was a quote unquote fair fight. The way to do it was a fist fight, right? That's just the truth. Okay, that's historical fact, and it's not an accident. Look. Closing your fist and throwing a punch, our hands are not made for that. Our hands are made for grabbing, okay, for tools, okay, that's what our hands are made for. Now, obviously, that closed fist weapon, isn't it obvious that even in ancient times they developed a glove so they don't break their hands?
Absolutely.
And they were doing it for people's entertainment?
Absolutely, they did.
Okay, and let's also look at this, okay? It always developed organically. And what I mean by that is through crowd demand. Before Marquis of Queensberry, or even before that, before the London Prize rules,
dude,
I mean, as you know, boxing was basically MMA.
Yeah, it was MMA. But if you go all the way back, let's say Dares in the Iliad, okay? Even then, you had a guy. This is Homer's Iliad. This is thousands of years ago. Yep. You had a guy, right? And he had his hands wrapped. You have the boxer sculpture from the Bronze Age, where it shows he's got gloves on. I mean, these things were developed for a reason, to inflict more damage, not less, but more damage. Okay, so in Dares. In the Iliad, he wasn't like just some guy that didn't know what he was doing. He even said when he took the stage at that boxing event, it's the first one that I know of that's ever documented. Okay. He said to the crowd, he said, I know I'm second rate at war. Okay. But in this ring right here, I will beat any man that's in this audience.
Right, like Achilles can't bring his fucking.
I'm not the best, exactly. Like nobody else can beat me in this ring right here, because when it comes to boxing, I'm the best. Okay,
and that obviously mattered to people,
Yeah, it mattered. I mean, he threw it down, bro. I mean, that dude was a badass, bro.
Yeah, it's and that tells you that this stuff was going on. I'll compare the boxing glove to this. So let's say how do you put bolts into a tire? I just changed the tire a couple hours ago, right?
Yep.
You could only do so. You could be the strongest man in the world. You could only turn it so much. Okay. We have tools for that, right? We have tools that are developed so you could do a stronger turn. That's what a boxing glove is. It's a tool to punch harder, right?
And it's a tool to maximize the amount of damage you can do to somebody's brain And that is what eventually wins you a fight.
It's to maximize it, not with one punch, because I seen these so-called like, you know, that show Sports Science,
Right.
which I was kind of, I mean, I like some of their stuff, but they're not really doing it the real scientific way. Like they'll have somebody do one punch with an MMA glove and one punch with a boxing glove. By the way, it was a small fraction of a difference. It wasn't that big. But no, you have to have the guy throw 300 punches.
Well, I thought the boxer in that thing, who wasn't like an elite boxer, was his punch was the hardest.
Yeah, they did that too, but I'm talking about when they had Bas Rutten do a open, like he hit the punching bag.
MMA glove. Yeah.
Yeah, but here's what was inaccurate about that. First of all, I could hit a punching bag with my bare hand.
It wasn't a punching bag. It was like a dummy. It was like a dummy with like sensors in it.
Like you're not gonna. Well, he did the punching bag first and then the dummy, right? You know. So, but yeah, just throwing that out there, right?
Well, Bas will tell you himself that, you know, like he couldn't have beaten any boxer in boxing. You know, like we should get him on here, honestly.
Yeah, that's true. Even though he's giving Connor 10% chance to win, so I don't know.
That's a puncher's chin.
Yeah, but here's the thing. We're gonna go ahead and you have the gloves ready?
Yeah, I'm all ready to go.
All right, and I gotta sit down now. All right.
I'm putting my camera on. I personally don't want to be on camera, but I want to show some of these things. I borrowed some gloves from one of my teachers, and I just want to show what they look like here. For instance, this right here is a 10-ounce, okay? It's a 10-ounce foam glove, okay? You see that? It's an old one. Okay, it's a lace up. This one particularly has much more padding because it's foam. Okay, and it's small. It doesn't even really fit on me. But this thing is an interesting example of maybe because it's a 10-ounce and it's foam, similar to the gloves that they might be using on the night of this fight. Okay, there's a side angle. Okay, here is a Clado Reyes. Okay, it's a sparring glove. Okay, so it's a combination of horsehair and foam. But
where's the horsehair on the actual knuckle?
The horsehair and the foam are just on the interior of like okay. So it starts here right after the Velcro. It goes up all the way around into the fingers. Okay. And then the big thing that's different of boxing gloves and MMA gloves is the thumb. Okay. Yeah. See how much padding is on this thumb? That's I would say like a third of the padding on this glove. But if you look at this square that I've taped off on here, that is about the size, okay, of a MMA glove where the padding is on an MMA glove. And I even bought an MMA glove, which I'll probably never use, but to show that you know where the padding is, okay. And I want to point out one particular thing about this MMA glove, okay? This is not horsehair. This MMA glove that they say, and they call boxing glove pillows, okay? This is foam in here, and it's thick as F, okay? So the padding that you get for an actual punch with this glove, to me, is thicker than you get in an actual boxing glove. And I'm going to demonstrate that right now. Okay.
Well, before you get to I want to show the 12-ounce really quick.
The 12 ounce, the 12. Oh, yeah.
I have it right here. So So this is a 12-ounce glove, right?
Yeah.
Does that look that padded? Like, does it look? It's a 12-ounce. Does it look that padded?
No, it doesn't, and especially not on the knuckles where you think like people
Right.
don't understand
I could feel the knuckle.
that where you actually hit somebody is different than the fact that it looks big and everything else like that. That's to distribute the power over a wider surface area.
Yeah.
Okay, so that glove that you're wearing right there, to me, that's a 12-ounce glove. That's more lethal to me than this right here. Okay.
What about this bar? How many ounces do you think this bar down here is?
I'd say that's a 12-ounce glove. I'd say that's probably an ounce and a half or 2 ounces of the glove.
Does the MMA glove have that bar?
No, it does not. It has nothing. It has literally nothing over here. All of it is right here. There's nothing on the back side. There's like a hole. You see that? There's a hole. There's nothing. I mean, the only padding it has is on the knuckles. And it has more padding on the knuckles than any boxing glove that I can point out. Especially not the same as, okay, so this Invicto, this is also my my favorite glove to use, all right here. It's very similar to an MX Everlast. It's practically the same glove, if you want to know the truth. But it comes, and it's like the most comfortable glove. Like that glove you have there is probably needed to be broken in, right? When you got it, it was a little stiff.
Yeah, it was.
Whatnot. These gloves come and like for somebody who doesn't have hand problems, right? This is the glove you want. Okay, so it's like this one, an MX or a Cleto Reyes competition glove. Okay, but they're all extremely similar. Mexican made, horsehair, purely horsehair, and the padding on these knuckles is nothing. It's nothing. My knuckles are right there. It's less than a quarter of an inch between my knuckles and whatever I'm going to hit. Whereas with this, it's like literally an inch of foam padding. So whoever says,
well, not only that, I mean, we're looking at all the padding on here, which you don't even land a punch with this right here. Okay.
Well, exactly.
The wrists as well. Okay. Yep. And this right here, the side of the glove right here.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I could bang on this table with everything I got. I don't hurt my hand. Right?
And the heel of the hand. We were talking about palm strikes.
Yeah.
If you happen to get somebody, upper, like boom, like that, the heel of the hand, it's totally unpadded.
Can you put on the MMA glove?
Yeah, sure. Hold on. All right, I'm going to show it.
I just want people to see the padding on, like when you close your fist.
It's much more than these other gloves that I have here. Much more. You see? There. Yeah. That is pure foam, and it's thick foam. It's hard foam. It's not. It's not.
Now, how does it feel right here? Like
on the side?
Like, would you be able to land a hook?
Yeah, you would, but you'd be much more vulnerable to breaking your hand. I would think, because the way it supports you isn't the same. And that's what makes a boxing glove more dangerous. I mean, this is designed for grabbing somebody, to grab somebody. It's not designed to be an effective tool with punching. And I taped off these sections, on the boxing glove to show that there is actually way less padding, okay, on the punching surface. This is a 10-ounce competition glove, okay, than there is on this, which is an MMA glove, right? So if you took this 10 ounces, right, and you said that, okay, this square that I taped off, right, you think that's 50% of the glove? No. There's much more padding here in the area where the MMA glove has no padding. There's much more padding. There's much more padding here on the thumb. Okay.
The fingers part.
The fingers, exactly. Look where that tape ends, and look how much more padding there is here than there is here. This is the least amount of padding there is on the glove. So, you know, all these people talking about pillows, they need to start talking about the MMA gloves.
Well, and here's how we know, by the way. Were those all the gloves?
Yeah, those were the 3 examples. Well, the 4 examples I had.
All right, cool.
I wanted to say thank you to the shop that gave me these wrist wraps for buying the gloves. It's on La Cienega. Look for it. It's a new boxing shop.
All right, cool. Give them a shout out. It's all good. All right, see those. Very cool. Now, those MMA gloves, by the way, here's another way we know that that you're prone to break your hand with them. You know how you know?
How?
MMA fighters don't spar with them.
Right. That's true.
Like, they're so, like, if you can throw as many punches as you want with them, why don't they wear them? If they're so superior, why don't they wear them? When they spar, when they do boxing or kickboxing, why do they wear those? And not only that, they also wear. I remember I went to.
You know, it's funny you mentioned that, because when I bought these just before we did this video, I ran out to get them just so we could show them.
Yeah.
The guy at the gym at the store was like, "Don't spar with these."
Right. Exactly. He probably gets a lot of idiots that buy them. Like, oh, would it be MMA? Like, like.
Exactly.
Yeah. Go to a boxing gym and try to spar with those. Right. They'll break your fucking hand. Right. That's if there's an irresponsible gym owner there too. They won't even allow you to spar with that shit. Okay. And it's not to protect your opponent, by the way. Well, kind of. They don't want you to thumb somebody in the eye and stuff like that, obviously, which is another design. The boxing glove is designed, like all the thumbing that happens in the eyes that happen in UFC.
Oh, yeah.
Well, that's not – I mean, I'm not saying that once in a long while somebody doesn't get thumbed in the eye in boxing, although it's extremely rare now. It's designed to not, thumb guys in the eye, to not get fingers in guys' eyes and shit, right? Which is why the fingers are covered. There's just no reason in boxing to have the fingers exposed, And
a puncher's glove, the padding is all over the place except the knuckles. And, even in a puncher's glove, and I was going to do a demo with you here where I was going to carve up a glove and weigh the amount of padding that was on the knuckles, even on like a 16 ounce, right? Because I have an old pair that I don't use
gave me an
anymore.
idea, that's for sure.
But I didn't know how long that would take because I've never tried it, and I didn't, I can only do it once because I've only got one old pair. But what I'm saying is, like, even on a foam 16-ounce sparring glove, I think there's less padding on the knuckles than these MMA gloves.
Yeah, and it's not just around the hand, wrist, fingers, thumb. It's also that bar in the bottom. You know what I mean?
Yeah, the bar to grip to make you be able to punch harder, because that bar makes it so you're not going to break your hand when you're holding something. Yeah,
that helps. That's, like I said, it's probably like an ounce and a half just by itself. You know what I mean? There's probably 2 ounces just in the bottom of the glove. So this idea. I mean, if look how the ounces just start. You know, MMA gloves 4 ounces, right? Would you say
Yep.
about 90% of those 4 ounces are on the knuckle?
I'd say, yeah, definitely 90%.
Okay, I mean, let's be generous. Let's say 80%. Okay, so that'll leave you with about, well, what is that? Maybe 3 ounces just on the knuckle.
Dude, I'm telling you, look at this square. Look at this square right here.
Yeah.
Okay, I hope people can see this. Okay, look
Let's
at
see.
all the padding here. That's not in the square. Look at all the padding here. That's not in the square. There's padding here. That's not in the square here. This is a 10-ounce glove. So if this is 10 ounces, and that's less, way less than half, that's like maybe a third of the glove. There's padding here. That's not part of it.
There's also padding on the.
Oh, dude, there's a
On the heel of the.
thick, heavy padding right here on the on that part wouldn't even be near your fist. So it's not even a joke. I mean, it is a joke. I mean, it's a joke.
Well, what about this? What about Mayweather's? The ones Mayweather uses. Like,
well,
I know we don't have those, but
he uses Grant Orthopedics, which are quite expensive. I didn't have the opportunity to purchase those for this video, but I would say I have some gloves that are very similar to those. If you want me to run and grab them real quick.
Sure. I'll keep the audience entertained.
Yeah, the padding on those is even more. I'll show it. I'm gonna go get it right now. Hang on.
All right, cool. All right, Haplotype's gonna go get those gloves. We gotta educate the public, right? That's what we need to do. This is important. It just is. Okay. Let me read over some comments really quick. Shrins, I'm gonna get to the Connor Malignaggi thing. I promise you that. Okay. And I agree. He did the same thing he did to Van Heerden. Okay, but as of right now, it's all hearsay. So, and but quite revealing to me, as a long-time MMA fan, good job bringing in the gloves. Well, that's what we're here to do. We're here to educate people. Okay, we're here to let you all know what's going on. You know what I mean? That's what it's all about.
All right, I'm back. I've got here to show you guys is a ringside, and this is the highest quality ringside, most carefully planned glove that you can get from this company. Okay.
How many ounces?
These are 16s. These are sparring gloves. I use them a lot. You can see from the knobbiness around here. I mean, these things have been used quite a bit. These are made with injected molded foam. Okay, it's very similar to a Grant Orthopedic. They inject the foam inside, they mold it, and then they put the leather. Don't be fooled by the fact that these are made to look like old school gloves. I kind of like old school type stuff, but this type of glove with this color, you know, it tends to bring about memories of your grandpa's old gloves. Okay.
Yeah.
But these are not your grandpa's old gloves, okay? So you put this on, and I mean, I could punch through a solid, you know, sheetrock with this, dude. I mean, the difference between the punch I could throw against a wall with this glove and without it is like night and day. So here even. Okay, this is foam. This is made to protect your hand as much as it possibly can be done for this company. Okay?
And that's 16 ounces?
This is 16 ounces. Even here, that's where my actual knuckles are. Yeah. That is less padding than this.
Wow.
It's less padding than this. And it's both are foam. It's almost the same thing. So
it's just I guess because it's like a much lighter foam, right, than the
of this foam. Yeah, the foam in here.
It makes the glove look bigger, but it's not really.
Well, it looks bigger because you look at this thumb. Look how thick that is, dude.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, there's at least 4 ounces right there. The fingers, look at this part right here. That is huge, man. It's
we have a
much bone
request
there.
here.
Yeah.
They're asking you to wear both gloves and hit against each other, and let us know your observation.
Both gloves. Which both gloves?
Well, I would rather like wear the ones you like. What are they called? The ones made in Mexico. What are they called again?
Invictos.
Wear those in the MMA glove, and I guess.
Dude, there's no comparison. The MMA. Okay, I'll do it for everyone if they want, but hold on. Let me get this MMA shit on. This shit is. Sorry.
Well, it might be. You never know. That might actually be a good. I don't know, like how each hand feels. Which hand felt more of it? You know what I mean?
Okay, I'll do it, but feel a little silly. But all right, here you go, guys. Much more padding on this than there is on this. This hurts my hand on this glove. This feels just fine because this right here is thick foam padding, and this is thin as possible horsehair. Okay?
Yep.
You see that? This, I wish people could feel this, man. But
so I guess the moral of the story is, right? You could hit harder with a boxing glove, especially in a 12-round fight, and it's safer for your hand.
It's in the definition of a boxing glove. It's in the definition. The reason, okay, in the late 1990s, right? The modern boxing glove that we know today, that all the different types were developed and tested by the commissions. That's when it came about that we have the foam glove, the horsehair glove, the combination glove. All these different gloves were developed in the late 1990s. This is thousands of years of development.
Right.
Okay? From the Greek cesti to the modern day boxing glove that we know today. So around the mid 80s to the late 90s, that's when like the major advances were made, almost akin to like the computer, if you think about it, because that's when the computer made its biggest advances. So I mean, this is a developed weapon that has been created in order to inflict damage on the human brain. Yep. And people need to respect it and understand that while it may look a little funny to you because you want to see people fight bare knuckle, like how many people watch bare knuckle boxing right now?
No
I
one.
mean, nobody. Nobody watches bare knuckle boxing. Why? Because it's not as entertaining. Why? Because they don't inflict the same kind of damage, except for superficially. Superficial damage, yeah. Okay. I'll give it to bare knuckle. I'll give it to the MMA glove. Cuts, blood, all that kind of stuff, fine. Yeah. The thing, what made Ali the way he was before he died? The boxing glove.
Right. Well, there you go. Educational experience, everybody. Now, I will challenge people to share this video. Share it to people anytime. Get somebody all the big puffy gloves because they're listening to idiots like Skip Bayless. Okay, does anybody really believe Skip Bayless has ever sparred in the ring? Right?
I'll spar with them.
Yeah, right.
I'll spar with Skip Bayless.
Exactly. Like it's he needs an educational experience, right?
And hey,
why don't they do this? Hey, like all the resources they have.
Anybody who can contact Skip Bayless, let him know. I'll let him use these MMA gloves, and I'll use my 16-ounce ring sides, and I will spar him, and we'll see how he feels about the pillows after that.
Right. Well, like here's the thing. So, and I agree with that. Skip Bayless needs that, but why is it shows like Undisputed, shows like you know, what happened to? I guess they're not meant for journalism, but what happened to journalism in sports? It's how can sports analysts just say things, but not like prove it? So they should be able to like, what? Why haven't they thought about this? We need to start requesting, right, for shows like Undisputed, shows like First Take, to put these boxing gloves on the table next to an MMA glove, right? Put one on. Have Shannon Sharp, touch the knuckle part. Okay, have Skip Bayless touch the knuckle part, right? That's what we need to do, right? That's what they should do, but they don't do that. They're just telling people this narrative that they're big pillows, and you have Nally over there, all the big pillows in their hand, and this is crazy.
Frustrating to hear. It's frustrating to hear. I mean, you and I have known each other a long time, dude, and I've made videos on boxing gloves over the years a few times, and my icon on my channel is these Invicto gloves, and there's a reason for that. Like, these are the weapons of boxing. Respect it. Stop talking crap about them being pillows. Like, just let someone hit you with one then. If you think they're pillows, just stand there and let someone punch you with it, and see if it doesn't knock you out.
And they'll knock you out, and then they'll take off the glove, and their hand won't be broken, right? That's the other thing. It protects dudes' hands, It's the likeliness of like, guys break their hands with boxing gloves, but when they hit the dome of somebody's head, when they hit somebody's elbow very hard, it's very unlikely to break your hand when you punch somebody right in the jaw, with a boxing glove, that is, but it's guys break their hands all the time, man. If you ever been in a real fight, okay, like out in a club or something, have you ever punched somebody in the face, right, without a boxing glove on? Okay, it feels like you're punching cement, man. Okay, bones are very strong things, and the bones on the face are stronger than your knuckles,
Oh yeah, of course. And not only that, like, you may punch the guy and he may go down, but your hand's going to be hurting for a good 2 weeks after that.
Yeah, exactly. And that's, just putting that out there, man. It's because the reason I wanted to do this was because even the so-called boxing guys on TV are just conceding. Oh yeah, we know that they're bigger gloves, right? They're just conceding this without actually going into detail about this stuff. It's not even Max Kellerman is bringing this up. Maybe it's not occurring to him. I don't know, right? But I did want to ask you this: did you hear about Mayweather supposedly saying that they could do it with 8-ounce gloves?
Oh yeah. No, I heard it from you actually. But the funniest thing about that
is... the commission declined it, by the way, but go ahead.
But, there's a rule in place where at that division is where it switches over to 10-ounce. But, I mean, dude, people are talking about these ounces like, we're not talking about, ounces of weed that look like a big giant bag of trash bag. We're talking about an ounce of foam or an ounce of horsehair. It's like they could put it – I'm going to bring up my camera again. Real quick.
The thumb.
They could put it right here. That's like an ounce right there. So, like, give me a break. 8-ounce, 10-ounce, depends on the type of glove, what it's made out of, etc. Because, and either way, like, if someone's wearing an orthopedic glove like Mayweather wears, and I'm assuming that they're going to make Conor McGregor wear orthopedic gloves too, which is probably going to happen. You can punch harder with those gloves than you can with a horsehair glove. The difference with the horsehair glove is the superficial damage that you can do, the swelling, the cuts that you can cause with your knuckles being closer to that leather.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
That's the difference. And I challenge anyone to tell me of an MMA glove that's made of horsehair. Please tell me about it. Please tell me about it.
I did have a question. I remember when Mayweather fought De La Hoya, right?
Yep.
They made him wear the Cleto Reyes gloves. Mayweather said they were 10 ounce, but he kept saying, I remember, I forgot.
He was complaining about it, but that's 10 ounce was the glove. They fought at what, 154?
No, but this is what he said, though. He said, well, first of all, he didn't want to wear that brand. He wanted to wear Winning or Grant, whatever it was at the time that he was wearing.
I think it was Winning, actually.
But I believe it wasn't just that. I remember him saying specifically, and the reason I thought about this, somebody put in the chat, they put, it's weird to me that heavyweights and junior middleweights wear the same size gloves. But my thing was this. Mayweather kept saying that De La Hoya made him wear 10 ounce, but 10 ounce heavyweight gloves. Like, do heavyweights really wear, like, are they designed differently for heavyweights or something?
No, they're not. I mean, there are most.
They don't require them to have more padding in the knuckle or anything like that.
No. Most heavyweights wear an extra large size, which actually distributes the padding over a larger surface area, which would make it slightly less, protective. I would say. But
so Mayweather claiming that he made him wear an extra large glove?
There is no way that they wore extra large gloves in that fight. They both have.
That's what he said. That's what I'm saying.
I mean, how tall is De La Hoya?
5'10".
5'10". And how tall is Mayweather? Like
5'8" and a half, something like that.
Their hands would not fit an extra large glove. There's no way they can make them wear a glove that wouldn't fit them. The only difference in a heavyweight glove would be that it's, a larger size. Yep. Okay. And it's bullshit, man. I mean, Mayweather can complain about the Oscar picking the gloves all he wants. He's picked the gloves many more times than he had someone else pick the gloves. So, I don't, don't cry for me, Argentina.
Right. Please don't. But yeah, I get what you mean. I've always found that interesting when he said Oscar made him wear heavyweight gloves. I wondered, like, what the hell?
That was his first fight at 154, right?
Yeah, it was. Yes. Now I have a question. So what did they make the fight 153.9 pounds? Could they wear 8-ounce gloves then?
Oh, I don't know. I think it would have to be 147. Once you go above welterweight, I think it goes to 10 ounce.
The reason I'm asking is because
I wish you were here right now and you could feel these Invicto 10-ounce gloves. I mean,
are they like
deadly.
The Cleto Reyes?
They're a lot like. I mean, they're almost identical to the Cleto Reyes and the Everlast MX. They feel so good, man. Compared to a foam glove, like that big ringside I showed.
Like they feel good on your hands, but not on someone that you punch in the face.
No, but they feel good when you punch someone in the face with them. Like if you don't have bad hands and you hit someone with this, like I wear these Invictos, like that. They're on my icon. You can see them right now.
Yeah.
I wear those when I spar with like really big guys, just to let them know, like, don't mess around, dude. I'm not fooling around.
Right.
And they can feel it, and they can feel the difference. I
hear you. And then the point is they're safe for your hands, but dangerous for your opponent's face.
Exactly.
Like,
Perfectly put.
like what sounds like a weapon to me. That's all weapons are designed that way, right? I mean,
yeah, it's like a gun. Like, you point it at your opponent and you shoot it, and it hurts them, but it doesn't do anything to you. Like, same difference.
well, here's what I'm wondering, and somebody made a good point. So I guess junior middleweight would actually start at 148 or 147.1, but here's what I'm wondering. I don't remember when Manny Pacquiao fought Antonio Margarito at a catch weight of 150 pounds. You remember that?
Yep.
Did they fight with 10 or 8? They were Cleto Reyes, but I don't.
Margarito Pacquiao.
Yeah.
I believe that was at a catch weight at 150, I believe. I believe that those were 10s, but maybe they made an exception. I don't know. Las Vegas tends to be pretty strict about that rule, about the gloves and everything else. I would guess.
Oh, that's right. That fight was in Texas, Dallas Stadium. Yeah.
Oh wait, no, it was in Texas. Okay,
Dallas Stadium.
Yeah, that's right. That's right, at the Cowboy Stadium. Maybe, I don't know. I'd have to look that up. I'm not for sure.
Maybe somebody in the chat knows. If anybody knows in the chat, let us know. I was just wondering about that because it seems to me like if they were paid on, I mean, they sanctioned this fight. They sanctioned the dude with no pro fights. Why wouldn't they just sanction 8-ounce gloves? But I think there's a thing called a precedent. So if they allow it for this fight, fighters will start requesting in the future and then say, well, you did it for them. Why won't you do it for me? You know what I mean? So it could cause future lawsuits and who fucking knows? So I'm thinking somebody put Haplotype will be in an alley setback video, and
You know what's funny? You know what's funny about that, DStyle? I run into that guy at various gyms that I go to. Like, I see him out there interviewing people and stuff. He said hi to me a few times, and I'm just like, dude, no.
But he could do a video with this title. Right, check it out. The title would be YouTube legend explains why he can knock out MMA fighters with his boxing gloves.
Well, they wouldn't fight with MMA gloves in a boxing match. They just wouldn't. And I wouldn't fight them in an MMA match because I would admit that, I have no grappling skills whatsoever. So it's just like, me admitting I have no grappling skills whatsoever is like what they should do when it comes to boxing. They don't have boxing skills. They don't have them. They have the hint of a boxing skill, the hint of it, but they don't know how to slip. They don't know how to roll and counter. They don't know. There's several boxing skills that they just don't work in MMA at all, because if you're rolling and countering in MMA, you're going to get hit with a knee or an elbow or something.
Well, I still remember, I remember watching like this Anderson Silva special before one of his fights, right?
Yeah.
And he was like, he was talking about, I guess, talking about when he was going to spar like a boxer, right? He would work with Freddie Roach, he would spar a boxer, but I remember him saying like, like we would both do our pre-workout, and he kind of knew about the guy, and he's talking about, well, when we both do our pre-workout, and then he goes and he goes for road work, and I start working on my grappling, right? I see him shadow boxing, and I'm working on my Muay Thai. He starts hitting the mitts with his trainer, and I'm working on my wrestling. He's doing some other sparring, and I'm barely starting to, I'm doing a little bit of mid work, and I guess the idea was, the time it took him to do like a whole section of sparring, whether it was working on his jiu-jitsu or his wrestling, or whatever it is, right? That whole time, the boxer's just working on boxing stuff, at that whole time. It's all boxing training, like the entire time. And then, of course, they would spar each other, but that wasn't even the first sparring session that the boxer had, So it's a whole different world. Like the way you train is different. It's completely different.
Well, D-Style, Darius in ancient Greece said it best: no man can be a master at everything.
Right. I agree with that. And here's my thing. We haven't even ever, there's never been a perfect boxer. A perfect boxer has never existed.
Right.
And so the idea that anyone can perfect boxing and this other stuff is ludicrous,
Well, except Rocky.
Rocky had it down. Rocky was fine like wine, though. He perfected it later, He could have knocked out Drago in the first round, but he wanted to give people a great fight, Rocky was doing Superman punches way before he did in MMA.
He could learn a whole new style just in one training camp.
Half a training camp.
Exactly.
Remember, he was bitching and complaining for half of it. He didn't want to work out. It was pissing Apollo. Apollo almost gave up on him. And then Adrian gave him a speech. He started training his ass off. Crazy. But a perfect fighter has never existed in boxing. And here's a point I wanted to make, and I wanted to dive into this. I wanted to dive into the whole. I talked about this earlier, but I have you on, and I want to know your thoughts on this. We touched on it earlier a little bit, but the argument of this is literally. Let me explain it the best way I can. Okay. I saw a video earlier from a guy who's an MMA analyst, right? And he said the following. I believe his name is Tim Black. You guys can look him up if you want. He literally said, boxing is far up its own ass. It's become so refined that everyone in boxing, from the trainers to the fighters, have all agreed that, quote unquote, this is the right way to do things. And they're not open to any other ideas and experimenting with any other things.
Oh my God.
And basically what he said was, and this was his argument, boxing's better today than it was 20 years ago, and boxing will be better in 20 years than it is today. So people thinking that boxing is nice and refined today, we're going to look back at it 20 years from now and say, well, holy shit, they didn't know shit back then. Boxers today are way more advanced, right? So his argument is that
wow. Who is this guy?
Well, hold on. I'm just a messenger
here. I'm sorry.
And he also said, you don't get shakeups from within. Okay, nobody shakes it up from within. It doesn't improve from within. In order to shake stuff up, in order to get everybody away from this refined way of doing things, where everybody just agreeing that this is the way we should box. Nobody wants to try anything different. Everybody, since we're all agreeing that this is the way to box, boxing cannot improve that way. It takes someone from the outside to come in and shake things up, and that's basically his argument. He says, what do you think about that? I know that's a lot of information to process, but
well, it really isn't, because none of that is good information. It's a bunch of hooey, to put it in a nice way. This guy obviously doesn't know anything about the history of boxing, because you've got, but first of all, boxing today is not better than it was 20 years ago, in my opinion.
You're right, because if it was, there's no way a 50-year-old Hopkins would barely be retiring. Yeah,
exactly. And look at Klitschko, who just retired, I think, today, right?
Yeah.
Um,
And who? I mean, look, I love the Klitschko's, but does anyone like? I don't think they're better than Lennox Lewis.
nope, they weren't.
I think they would be top
And
contenders in the '90s, but I don't think they would be
Lennox
champions. That's
Lewis
my
wasn't
opinion.
Lennox Lewis wasn't better than a lot of guys that came before him either.
Right. I agree.
So you're talking about a sport. The first thing you have to realize is you're talking about a sport that's been in existence since basically the beginning of history
Yep.
of humankind. And you think that in all those hundreds and thousands of years that just now
Mm-hmm.
everybody's realized like what to do. No,
Yep.
that is not the case. All these styles have been developed over time and old styles, and each person is an individual and they put their own twist on it and whatnot. But boxing is old as F, okay? And it's been around and it's been developed to its pinnacle. And the pinnacle isn't right now. The pinnacle came in the early 80s, in my opinion. That's when training techniques and skills met at a crux where there were the most possible practitioners, right? Because like
The pros, yeah.
per capita, there were more practitioners of boxing in those days than there are now. So it's just ridiculous to even indulge someone like that that's talking like that. It's ridiculous. I mean, he does not know what he's talking about at all. Boxing isn't going to, like, in 20 years from now, there's not going to be some super, android. Like, okay, if they build robots and they're boxers and that's what we're watching later, maybe they'll be faster or something like that. But, I mean,
Right.
I haven't seen it.
They'll reach speeds that human beings are just not capable
of. Right,
Right.
yeah. So, unless that happens, no.
Kind
I
of like
mean,
chess, Yeah.
You talk about, your Leonard, your Hearns, your Hagler, your
Well,
Benitez, those guys, even today, McCallum, all those guys, they're
it's like
better than
this.
these
Look,
guys.
let me put it this way. So this is how you could debunk this argument. Let's look at the game of chess. And I hate to bring up chess, but right, chess is a game it's become well refined, right?
Yep.
And no one's saying that players can't become better, right?
Right.
Because over time they learn what works and what doesn't. So sure, players at a very advanced level can develop, you know, sequences, I guess you can say, right? Later in the game, right? We're talking about when they're going to have an 8-piece exchange at the very end, but they kind of plot it out from the very beginning. But what does not change is the fundamentals of chess. So, meaning, even computers, which have become far more advanced, no human being could even come close to competing with the computers of today, right?
Right.
And even the chess masters, they just can't. They've even stopped competing with them now, right? But even the computers will clarify and prove that this is true, right? That it's just kind of like the fundamentals in boxing. It's in chess, right? When you have like certain openings, I don't care if you're a positional player or whatever, right? There's certain ways you have to open the game, okay? And if you make one mistake in the first 5-6 moves of that game, one, it's over. You're gonna lose, okay? And those first those first 5-6 moves, and I'm being very generous in saying 5-6 moves. If you don't do it the way you're supposed to, if you make one mistake, that game is over. And computers have verified this because the computers still open games the exact same way. Computers which can do millions of calculations in 1 second. No human being can do that. It's impossible. Even the computers open the games the exact same way that humans developed over the years playing chess. Right? So
Yeah.
boxing's the same way, right? Maybe not as much as chess because people cannot box as much as they can play chess, if you know what I mean, right?
Right. Right.
But the point is, it's even if you develop robots, right, at a very advanced level, I could almost guarantee you that that they're going to program. They have to program the. No matter what else you do with a robot, if it's
They're
still
going to
Marcus or Queensberry.
program Ali. They're going to program Benny
No,
Leonard.
what I'm saying is, this is what I'm saying.
They're going to program those robots with what the
The
human
fundamentals.
out. Yeah. Yeah.
Like if the robot doesn't have the fundamentals, no matter what else you add to it, it's not going to be a successful robot. The same with chess. Every computer, no matter how advanced it is, has the fundamentals of chess down. Okay, it still plays under those fundamentals, even though it's doing
the
millions
reason why
calculations per second.
is because the fundamentals in boxing are designed to work against almost anything that someone can throw at them.
Exactly.
It's been developed over hundreds of, even thousands of years, okay, to counteract anything that could possibly come at you. There's a reason why the fundamentals are the fundamentals. And we saw that with Mikey Garcia against Adrian Broner. We saw that incarnate just this past weekend or whenever that was. So, like, people need to drop this whole thing of like, oh, McGregor is going to come out. He's going to stand in a different stance.
Karate stance.
He's going to have a karate stance. He's going to, he's going to have, the pillows, but he'll make them work somehow. He's going to knock Mayweather out in the first 4 rounds. Like, I mean, is that possible? Could it possibly happen?
Right.
Maybe. But, is it likely? No. Would you bet on it? No.
It's possible in this sense, right? Like me, I hate playing against a computer. I hate playing chess against a computer.
Mm-hmm.
Right? That's just me, right? In fact, I like games too. I like when I start a game, I like to end it. Meaning, I don't like playing this. I don't like doing this whole online shit where somebody moves and then 5 days later they do a move or hours later, right? I like to play in a moment, okay? Because first of all, it's especially as the game is expanding, you could start to, depending on how good the player is, you start to get mentally exhausted, right? So humans make mistakes, right? That's why I like playing against humans. A human can make a mistake. A human can make an error, right? The human can fall for deception. You can trick a human. A computer, not really. A computer is never going to make a mistake. Everything's about calculation with a computer, right? Mm-hmm. So yes, is there a chance that Mayweather can make a drastic mistake and get knocked out? Is that possible? Yeah, because he's not really a machine, But here's the thing:
a firecracker could go off somehow in the stadium, and he could look the other way and get hit.
But that's like saying if you play a chess master, it's more likely that the chess master makes a drastic mistake than a computer. A computer, it's 0%. A chess master, it's slim to none, but I guess it's possible. It's humanly possible. Can a chess master make a mistake? Possibly. You know what I mean? It's possible. But it's not very likely. Like it's not. I can't do this. I can't say, well, the chess masters used to opening the game this way. I'm gonna throw them off. I'm gonna go unorthodox. I'm gonna start doing this, and I'm gonna put the pawn over here, even though it doesn't make sense. I'm gonna lose in 5 moves.
Well, here's the thing. I love the chess analogy in a certain way, because I'd say that. Bobby Fischer would never lose to the checkers champion of the world. So I love that because, Mayweather, you could liken him to the chess master, and, the checkers master maybe is McGregor. I wouldn't even say he's the checkers master. But in another way, I don't love it because, think about it this way, D-Style. Look, could a computer ever make a better song than, Jimi Hendrix? Could a computer design how to play ever?
Not yet.
As advanced as a computer could possibly be, could it ever match the creativity of a Mozart or
No.
Charlie Parker or anything like that? There are certain things they could do if you give it parameters, because chess has parameters, right? It has certain pieces, they can move a certain way, and this, that, and you can calculate that. You can't calculate a Charlie Parker, solo.
Well, to your point, like when you watch, like whenever, like I don't know, like I know chess is boring to a lot of people. I think it's fascinating, but whenever you watch Bobby Fischer, like if you ever have a chance, and they have people that break it, the guys that know more about chess than me, that break these games down, or matches, what you call them, and by the way, a match is they play 3 games. It's best out of 3. A game is 1 game. This is for anybody that doesn't know. But when you watch Bobby Fischer, right? Mm-hmm. You actually see, like, especially watch his videos, you kind of see how this is a human that did this. He tricks the other chess master, and he's very creative in the way he wins. It's
lures them
when a computer beats somebody, it seems so like it's like boring. Like, yeah, it's beating the chess master or whatever, but it's not doing anything creative. It's doing calculations. That's all it's doing.
Well, didn't he beat a computer at one point? Like early on,
he beat a computer, but those were It's still I can't beat that computer today. You know what I mean?
Archaic computer.
Yeah. I think computers have become so advanced that it's today that chess masters just can't compete with them. You know what I mean? But
in chess, but in art and music, and to me, boxing is an art form in a way. It's like people call it the sweet science, but the sweet part of it is the art form,
Right. I agree. And that's so to your point, I get what you mean. You know what I mean? Like, in other words, people could build robots, but a robot, you're never going to have dramatic moments with a robot. Like it's, how would a robot react to a body shot? Like, you know what I mean? Like, you can't.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not going to have that human element to it.
You'd have to build the weakness into it, because,
I don't know. They'll have to do some.
Because Meldrick Taylor, tell me a robot that can improvise a combination like a Meldrick Taylor. I mean, it's almost like, a Miles Davis solo, or Dizzy Gillespie, or Hendrix, or someone like that.
Yeah, like it's like Terminator. It never learned how to love, I guess. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
But I guess at the end, now I know why you cry, or whatever the fuck it said. Fucking dumbass Terminator. Which killed himself for no reason, apparently, because it happened anyway. I don't know. Now, with that said, yeah. So to the guy's point, the whole it's become too refined. That doesn't make it weak. It's kind of like
it hasn't become too refined. Tell me, how refined is Marcos Maidana? Is he refined?
No.
Okay. The other guy.
In his own way, probably, but.
No, but the guy who smokes on his way into the ring.
Oh, Mayorga?
Mayorga. Is he refined?
It was no. If anything, when the guy said like he said, disruption doesn't come from within, right? It comes from an outside source. That's such a vague statement. I mean, boxers come from all over the world, from all different types of backgrounds, right?
Yeah.
So doesn't Mayorga count as some form of disruption? Plus, here's a point that no one ever addressed. Like, he was getting all these comments, right? Oh, great video. This shit's deep, and shit like that. And nobody brought this up, and I just thought to myself, okay, brilliant. If your argument is it was better 20 years ago than it is today, okay. And you're saying your argument also is disruption only comes from an outside source, not from within, right?
Mm-hmm.
Do you see where I'm going with this? Like,
right.
They're counterpoints.
Yep.
They're counter to one another.
It's contradiction.
Like, where was the disruption? Where was the guy that came from outside of boxing that shook things up and made boxers improve?
Dude,
when did that happen? In the last 100 years?
I don't know who this guy is, but I swear.
Tim Black. Check him out.
Tim Black. Okay. Well, Tim Black, you need to reevaluate your points because boxing,
but he said he knows what he's talking about because he sparred Canadian boxers.
Oh, that's funny. And you know what? Apollo Creed's opponent, Billy Snow, he moved to Canada and gained 30 pounds, and that's why he had to fight Rocky.
Yeah. No. I was going to make this point earlier, but we kind of trilled off to this, and I know I trilled it off, but boxing. Look how it went from London prize rules, even before that, to Marquess of Queensberry to what it is today, right?
Right.
Boxing. Look at how it developed in Egypt into fist fighting. Boxing. Look at how it developed in Greece. Boxing. Look at how it developed in Rome. It seems like every major empire literally developed boxing. All right. Every sophisticated society, boxing somehow organically evolved, and it was a
fist
guys were wearing mittens, gloves,
cesti.
But here's the point I want to make. I'm sure they didn't start that way. I'm sure this was it became a form of entertainment, and it evolved into, we want to see guys fight with their fists, with boxing gloves on, right?
Yeah.
That's what happened with Marquess of Queensberry. Now, look at MMA. 1994, you had dudes wearing gis, and you had Hoist Gracie taking guys to the ground and choking them out.
No rounds. No.
There was no rounds. There was no form of glove.
Punch someone in the nuts. You could do whatever you want.
But look. But here's my point.
No weight classes.
But here's my point. Fast forward to 2017. Jiu-jitsu masters can't take dudes to the ground anymore. And even the jiu-jitsu guys are having to learn how to throw a right hand, right?
Yeah.
And like Damian Maia, for example, he's not really good at it, but he had to learn some of it, And you have guys like Tyron Woodley knocking guys out with his punches. You have guys like Nate Diaz, hell, Conor McGregor, right?
Yeah.
You're seeing more boxing and MMA, like as MMA evolves. Fans are booing when the fight goes to the ground. Refs are standing guys up faster than ever. I mean, it seems like dudes go to the ground, 10 seconds, nothing happens. Practically, they stand them up. Right? I might be exaggerating there, but they stand them up faster than ever.
We've talked about this before. Yeah. Like, it's evolving much the same way that boxing did.
Exactly.
If you look at boxing, if you go to the Boxing Hall of Fame and you look at the Pioneers era, that was MMA. It was not boxing as we know it today. They had holds, they had grappling, they had elbows, kicks, everything. Yep.
But here's my point. When guys say Conor is going to come shake things up and show us how it's done, he's barely like back in 1700. I mean, he's way behind. Like, it's Are you kidding me? This guy's way behind. Boxing's already gone through this process. It's already gone through this. It's already happened throughout how many empires?
Way long ago.
Egypt, Greece, Rome, England. Okay, England was a fucking empire, right?
Yes, it was. The
The
biggest
United
one of
States
all
of
time.
America, empire. Well, whether people want to admit it or not, it's an empire, right?
Right.
Every major empire. You know, maybe I don't know about like the Persian Empire or anything like that. You know, I don't know about that, but
Well, I haven't found any examples from the Persian Empire.
I don't know about the
I bet
Chinese
you
Empire.
if I really look, I probably could find some examples of boxing type matches in those.
Hell,
also.
I remember watching Zhou Shiming on. It was a special that they had on NBC or something when the Olympics happened, right?
Yeah.
You know what Zhou Shiming is, right?
Oh yeah. He just got his ass
and you know they were talking about Chinese culture had some type of a version of boxing, right? Maybe not exactly the same, but it had some form of it, right? So it's in many empires it just developed this way, you know, and we had technology.
Wing Chun, the martial art that Bruce Lee first was taught by, I guess Yip Man was his name, the guy, the master, was, you know, considered a form of boxing in their culture because it was mostly a fist, you know, fighting form.
Yeah, I'm getting the guy's name, by the way. I want to get it right. Robin Black. My bad. Robin Black. All right, not Tim Black. Right. Robin Black, guys. Yeah, to the guy in the chat. Yeah, Robin Black. But yeah, I mean, but that's my point. I mean, it's the more MMA progresses, the more guys are going to be. They're going to develop ways to prevent getting taken down. Right? They want to talk about. People exposing stuff. Look at how many. It didn't take long for people to learn how to stuff takedowns from a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu guy. You know, it just took 20 years.
The sprawl, and you know all that. But you know they've even paid guys to make sure it stands up.
Yeah.
They give bonuses and stuff for knockouts.
Because I don't know if anybody's ever watched MMA at an arena. I have. When the guys go to the ground, you don't know what the fuck's going on. Okay? I mean, I was sitting in the 10th fucking row, right? There was a dude on top of another guy, right? I had to look up at the monitor to know what the fuck's going on, right? Like he had him like in an arm bar, and then before you know it, it was over, right? And I was just like, well, that was a little anticlimactic. You know, it's just not as entertaining. Look, and I'm not. By the way, if somebody out there finds grappling entertaining, you know, good on you. I'm not like what you like. I don't like golf either. You know what I mean? And people love golf, so like what you like. That's cool. But it's just to me that there's a reason. You know, when Brock Lesnar took down Frank Mir, what were the fans chanting? They were chanting, "Stand him up." That's what the MMA fans were chanting, "Stand him up."
Well, I'm glad you brought up golf because I feel like McGregor thinks he's Happy Gilmore. You know, like Happy Gilmore had a good slap shot, and Chubbs came in and taught him how to use that as his golf swing, and he came out and he won the Masters tournament. You know, so you know if you believe in that, you know, go ahead and bet your money on Happy McGregor.
Right. Well, that's he kind of is like Happy Gilmore. Like
He is, exactly.
You know, but I don't think he hits that hard. Like, you know what I mean? It's like Happy Gilmore. What his even how hard he hits is the ball is. So what do you call? Do you call them balls? What the hell do you call them?
Yeah, balls, golf
balls.
But he still got his ass whipped by Bob Barker.
But yeah, I mean, but it's not just that. He doesn't hit that hard. It's like Happy Gilmore with half the power. You know?
Yeah.
It's just like it's shit's insane. But yeah, man, that shit's insane. It's when I ran into that video, I was like, holy shit. The crazy thing is, I know it's all bullshit, but it was so well explained. He explained it so well. I was like, damn. And then people used to see the comments.
I gotta hear this, man. Because, you know, like, to me, if you don't understand boxing history, like, I understand people have their aversion to, like, they want to go with what's going on right now. And I get that, you know, like, nobody wants to be lectured or talked down to or whatever. But come on, man. Like, if you're going to be making statements like this, you know, do a little bit of research at least and understand that everything has been tried in this sport. Everything.
So here's the thing. Do you want to watch an MMA guy teach a boxing guy how it's done? You ready?
Sure.
I'm going to show you guys right now, by the way. Hold on, guys. I'm getting there.
Oh, I think I know what's coming.
I'm gonna show you what it's all about. All right. You ready?
Mm-hmm.
MMA guy versus what is that dude? Like 60 years old? How old is that guy?
Oh my god. He's wearing
he has that 60s Italian style. Check him out. Check it out. Oh, come on, MMA guy. Show us with that unrefined style. What happened?
I quit. I'm done.
Who saw that?
That's like 30 seconds, dude. That's pretty sad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's as sad as it gets, man. What can I say?
He zigged when he should have zagged.
Right? I agree with that. But why didn't the unorthodox style like confuse the old man? You know what I mean? Why didn't it like throw him off guard? It sounds like you don't have an answer for that.
I don't know, man. I think
I like that video. That old man used to be a boxer. I could tell.
Oh yeah, I mean he was doing his thing, man. Like fundamentals work for a reason.
He had that like 70s, 60s Italian style. From what I saw anyway. But I like how he punched himself like 2 times before he started punching the guy. like I guess I don't know, winding himself up,
hitting himself. Oh, dude, I've noticed like whenever someone does that, like if you notice a ring walk where someone's hitting themselves in the face, they almost always lose. They almost always lose.
Right.
It's a sign of like, I'm not so sure I can take this guy's punches, you know?
Somebody said Conor might be disqualified, not lose, but by KO decision. You think there's a chance Conor McGregor disqualifies himself?
No, because he loses all his money. I think they're going to be watching him.
Is that true, or that's just what they're saying?
I think they're going to be watching him like a hawk. I think it's going to be Kenny Bayless in there. It's going to be worse than Maidana 2. If he does anything that looks like, you know, he's breaking the rules, you know, Maidana got away with biting Mayweather's hand, I guess people say, right? But if McGregor does that, he's going to lose, you know, millions of dollars. So I think he'll be ready to go in there with Paulie Malignaggi, and then he'll realize that he's not in there with Paulie Malignaggi and just get his
he'll
ass
be
won.
like, oh shit, you know. And even then, there's a lot of disputed reports coming out of that. Somebody put, does he, and that this Robin Black, believe McGregor will change how people see the effectiveness of boxing, or was it a general statement? He's saying there's a good possibility that Conor McGregor can change the trajectory of how we view boxing as we know it. That's basically what the guy said. But fat chance, in my opinion, you know?
Dude, there's no chance in hell that's going to happen. Like, come on, dude. Everything has been tried already. What we have now is a weakened, watered-down version of the best that was in boxing. And the
that was the
reason
80s?
I think that was like the late 70s, early 80s was the pinnacle, okay, of training techniques, meeting skill, and the most possible participants.
Yeah.
So if you take those three factors and you plotted a graph where they all met, it was about then, okay? And that's when you had the most skilled, the most well-trained, the most conditioned athletes, and the most, in general, like per capita people participating in the sport was at that time, you know, when boxing was still, you know, bigger than, you know, let's say most other sports. Now you've got like sort of the remnants of that and the refinement of that, but you've got people being able to hide behind multiple sanctioning bodies. You've got less participants. You've got, you know, all these other factors that have led to the decline in boxing. And this is nothing new. This is nothing new because, you know, there were peaks and valleys throughout the history of boxing. If you look at Mendoza, and after Mendoza, there was a valley, and then Bill Richmond came along, and there was a peak, and then Cribb and Molyneux, and, you know, then there were, after they went out, there was a valley. You know, there's all peaks and valleys.
Now, before somebody takes you out of context, you're talking about the as far as the sport becoming refined. You're not necessarily saying that all the best fighters are all in the 80s, right? Or the 70s.
No, like
because I see it coming a mile away. Somebody's gonna say, "Oh, Hyplo thinks that, you know, Joe Louis ain't shit," or like I don't know.
Well, like my favorite boxer of all time is Benny Leonard. So there you go.
Yeah.
Second
I want
most
to play a
favorite
clip of this guy.
Like, so
I want people to have like a general idea, you know.
Okay.
Now with the
check it out.
Boxing compared to boxing in 1947 or 62. Way further along. And let's take this concept one, and boxing in 2043 will ridicule boxing now. Okay, so we know that boxing will change. We know when we think about it as a river of constant change that this isn't boxing is perfect. This is boxing now with the limited amount that we understand about the human mind, how the body works. We're very rudimentary compared to where we will be in 30 years. So we accept that. We think of that and we go, okay, that's true. Yes. Most people can admit that. If you cannot, I don't mind if you leave the conversation here. That's okay, because we're going to get stupider now. But you have to be able to look at that. You have to be able to look and go, VR. VR is the craziest thing we've ever seen. In 2061, you're going to look at this VR. It's going to be a joke, right? Cars have never been faster. In 2042, you're going to look at cars in 2017 and go, oh my God, I can't believe cars were so bullshit in 2017. Everything's like that. Boxing's like that too. That's concept number one.
Bullshit.
Concept number two. You know who should have, and this, my friend Gary will point you deeper into this, Gary Vaynerchuk, but it's relevant. You know who should have invented Airbnb? Marriott Hotels. But they didn't. Because they're so far up their own ass in the micro of running hotels.
Yeah, I don't know. Have you noticed like other breakdowns, they don't cover boxing?
Dude,
he's talking about cars. But here's my thing, right? I made this point in my last video. I said, well, it depends. So, for example, have we developed a building today that's going to outlast the
It's so weird. It's so weird that you said that, because when you were talking about that earlier today, I was thinking like, ooh, let me get to my computer and type in the pyramids. Right before you said it, it was like you were reading my mind. Like, dude,
and here's another
this
thing.
guy.
Cars,
Yeah.
when he says cars are better today than they were, let's say, 30 years ago, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know about that. It depends what we're talking about. You know what I mean?
You're talking about a freaking machine, though, dude. I mean, yeah, in some ways you could say they are. They're more fuel efficient. They're more whatever.
That's what I mean.
Lighter,
but
whatever. But
better as far
words,
as aesthetically pleasing. I don't know about that.
No.
You know what I mean?
No.
I still have like my old Firebird and shit. You know, I refuse to let it go. It'll probably sentimental value, but it's, in my opinion, like, is the air conditioner as good as like my Cruise and shit? Like, probably not. Okay, well, it's not.
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know. Maybe when it was new, it was, because those GM air conditioning units were pretty damn good.
Yeah. Well, it doesn't work now, but not that good anyway. But I could modify it and stuff. But it just depends what we're talking about. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
no, we're talking about human fucking beings, dude. This guy, he needs to shut the F up. Like, really, listening to him makes me really pissed off, because he does not know what he's talking about with boxing. Oh, boxing in 2034 is going to be better because the Pentium 3 wasn't as good as the Pentium 5. No. Like, the Pentium 3 wasn't as good as the Pentium 5 because it's a machine. You're talking about human beings in boxing, and like, there are peaks and valleys. There are peaks and valleys. Mendoza was better than the bums that came after him. Like, once he came in, he invented a scientific style of boxing for his time. And then once he got beat by getting choked out with his own hair, then like, boxing got outlawed by the British Empire, and boxing became brutes beating each other up, and not having any scientific style whatsoever for many years, until Bill Richmond came along and he revived the whole sweet science of boxing. So there was a peak with Mendoza, a valley after Mendoza, peak with Richmond, and a valley after Cribb and Molyneux. So there are peaks and valleys in this, and in my opinion, we're in a valley right now.
It seems to me like they discovered how to throw good straight left. Connor did, and they think they discovered something. You know, like,
for their sport they did.
Do this
for that sport they did, but in boxing, I mean, that's like, okay, what else you got? You know,
I don't want to give anybody a headache, but I'm gonna play one more piece. Ready? I'm waiting for it to play.
From 7 till early 20s, pretty much every moment of my study and curiosity was committed towards martial arts. Then in my 20s, I still had a deep fascination with it, but in the last 12 years, I've studied it all day, every day. I've studied it on the deepest layers humanly possible. I fought 9 times as an experiment to learn about fighting. I've sparred in boxing with Canadian champions at my weight for 2 years straight. I've studied boxing, Muay Thai. I've watched and been a part of the development of martial arts. And so this is what I think. And before I say anything, they'll go, yeah, but bro, he doesn't even box. All right. So here we are. We're going to go with that. And then we don't need to hear what anybody who may have some decades of study that could be relevant. My subspecialty of study, I'm not trying to brag about myself here. I'm just trying to contextualize it as best I can.
No, not at all.
My subspecialty over the last couple of years has been a deep curiosity about change and evolution, technology, culture, people, how things change. And it was the study of the martial arts that took me to this, that river of change, that fact that we are in a world that changes always, forever. And unfortunately for a lot of us, and this is very culturally normal.
Dude,
We
you should
resist
pass out.
that idea.
You should pass
we
out
look at
vomit bags before you play this.
1963, and we say, what did people know about computers back then? We go, fuck, they didn't know
there
shit.
we go. Electronics, and you know, that's the theme. That's the theme of the, you know.
Dude, you should pass out vomit bags before you play that guy. How the hell are you going to tell people that you're not trying to brag?
I like how he said, I had 9 fights.
You've studied boxing to the deepest point of human possibility, but you're not trying to brag at all, though. This guy should
but
fight
here's my
Mayweather.
thing. He studied boxing.
He should fight Mayweather. He should fight Mayweather.
No, but here's my thing.
He's so good.
But
He's
listen
so
to
good.
what he said, though. Listen to what he said. He goes,
God.
I fought 9 times. Like, wow. Like, you must have learned everything about boxing. Like, in 9 fights.
Yeah. Up in Canada.
And part Canadians. Like, no offense to Canada.
But dude,
those Canadian boxers taught him everything.
Show me the footage.
Right?
Show me the footage of him sparring Jean Pascal. Even I guarantee you, Jean Pascal knocks that guy out.
What thing is this guy? I don't even think has any footage. Like that's the thing. You know, like he thinks because he got in a ring and sparred somebody that he knows what's up. You know what I mean?
He's an idiot. He thinks he's smart, and those people are the most. If you think you're smart, just for all the listeners out there, just realize that there's a mountain of knowledge that you will never climb to the top of in any aspect of human, kind. You might know one specific thing better than other people, but you will never know the mountain of human knowledge that to its full extent. And someone that says that I've studied something to the pinnacle of human understanding, well, you better be able to go in and show and prove that. Right. Go in. He should be fighting Mayweather. That guy should be fighting.
Or he should be. I mean, with all that knowledge, I mean, he should be. He should have an MMA gym and a boxing gym, and spread his knowledge.
He should have something.
Like, he should be able to have world champions everywhere because he's a mountain of knowledge.
Aside from a weak ass video, he should have something. He should have some kind of championship.
Yeah, but he should read the comments. People are, oh, this is deep, bro. This is some deep shit. Oh, like this guy. Oh, this they called it a gem. The video was a gem.
I don't want to make myself nauseous reading. I mean, comments can be,
Right. It's people think I'm making this up. Like when they hear me say, "Oh, somebody said this," like, an idiot didn't say that. Like, yeah, they did. Want me to play it? And
I can't even believe that guy said that stuff. It's
like, what does that have to do? Like with first of all, right? Let me put it this way.
He really wants Conor,
even if the argument that boxing's going to be better in 20 years than it is today is, even if it was true. Right?
It could be, and it might not be.
Here's my point.
It might not be, though.
But here's my point. Even if Conor McGregor isn't living 20 years from now, he's living right now. Like, you know what I mean? He's not coming from the future. Like he's not a dude that came from the future to show us an advanced version of boxing. Like, you know what I mean?
Dude, Conor's having competitive sparring sessions with Paulie Malignaggi. Get the fuck out of here. He's going to do what? It's like, let Conor McGregor fence me in saber fencing. I bet you I'll beat him. I bet you I will. Because I know how to fence. And he doesn't.
But he has a mountain of knowledge. I like to knock that dude out. Just to tell him, where's all your fucking knowledge now?
I just want that guy to throw your hat in the ring, man. Throw your cestai in the ring, motherfucker.
You know what I noticed? I've just noticed that a lot of these MMA guys, a lot of these kickboxing guys, and not even the fighters, by the way, the commentators, the ones that cover it, they have a very deep-rooted bias for their combat sport. Now, I know some people are going to say, well, so do you guys. Haplotype, DStyle, you guys have a bias for boxing. All right.
In boxing, though. In boxing. Right. I'm not going to say a boxer is going to beat a basketball player at basketball. You know, like it's boxing.
Yeah, but this complete dismissal. I mean, this guy is basically arguing, like at the end of the day, right? Well, why does he have to talk about cars and about computers and about all this stuff, right? Like it's either A or B. Does the guy with 49 fights have the advantage, or does the guy with 0 fights have the advantage? Like it's a very simple question. Obviously, the guy with 48 fights and with experience going 12 round, not sparring, like actual fights, has the advantage. Period. Like there's no debating that. But they're arguing, no. The guy with 0 fights has the advantage because he's unorthodox. The guy with 49 fights has never seen something like that. That's at the end of the day, that's what they're arguing. You know, and that's
they've been watching Happy Gilmore too much.
What's that?
They've been watching too much Happy Gilmore.
Yeah. That's a great movie, by the way.
It is good.
It's every time I watch that movie, man. That chick in that movie is hot too. All right. Let's see. Shrins. I don't even know how to pronounce that, to be honest, bro. Sorry. But the difference is you and Haplo are transgressing your field of boxing, whereas they are transgressing into boxing. Oh, good. Very good comment. That's a very good comment. Right?
What was that? I didn't follow that.
All right. Sorry. But the difference is you and Haplo are not transgressing your field of boxing while they are transgressing into boxing.
Okay, but this dude, okay. We're talking about a boxing match, people. Keep that in mind. Keep that in mind. If we were transgressing into MMA, we'd be talking about how a boxer would do in MMA. We're talking about boxing. So keep that in mind, please.
Yep. There seems to be a confusion with, like, there are fighters, right, that are unorthodox. We talked about them, Mayorga, you know what I mean?
So many.
The way a Margarito fight is very unorthodox, right? It's the way some guys try to win is very unorthodox.
Henry Armstrong.
But they still
Harry Greb.
But here's my thing. Even the most unorthodox boxers understand the fundamentals because they're going to face the fundamentals in every freaking fight.
Exactly, man.
Like they have to know what to expect. You know what I mean? Yeah. No, not everybody's going to be able to parry a jab. Like not everybody's going to be able to slip punches that good.
Oh, man. Did you see how many punches Mikey was picking off with his gloves in that fight? Yep. That was impressive. I loved watching that. That was some throwback stuff right there.
Somebody says, "Call me Haas." All right, Haas. One Cyber Gislim, all right. Cyber Slim, I'll call you that. I can see the future technology improving athletes by recovery, nutrition, but some of these technologies that exist today are banned by sports commissions, like oxygen chambers. Wasn't Marquez using oxygen chambers?
I know he was drinking piss.
Yeah.
No, he used a hyperbaric chamber, yeah. But, I mean, that hyperbaric chamber that he was using in preparation for the Mayweather fight was a super old-fashioned one. They have ones now that you can buy. You can use them in your own room. And they also have the hypoxic training that Victor Conte invented, which is like a mask that you wear while you're training that simulates the fact that you could be at like a high altitude in order for your body to create more red blood cells. It's basically like EPO. Like Victor Conte is inventing ways to cheat without cheating, to this day. So, I mean, there's nothing new under the sun, basically. Yeah. Marquez used hyperbaric chambers, but plenty of people are doing the same thing right now.
I hear you. So, they've become advanced since that time. But are they banned, though?
Hyperbaric chambers? No.
Well, he
No,
said
because
oxygen chamber, so I don't know if they're banned or not. But um, anyway, man, not sure if you had any final thoughts here. I think we basically covered everything.
yeah, I think we did. I think we're good, man.
And then some.
Just let me just say as my final point, and then
Yep.
obviously you can give your final thoughts.
Yep.
The boxing glove is a finely developed weapon over a long, long period of time. People, stop calling them pillows because you sound ignorant. Stop saying that boxing is going to become better or worse in 20 years. You don't know that. It's peaks and valleys. It gets really good and then it drops and then it goes back up. That's just the way it is. It's been around too long. It's like saying the wheel is going to get better in 20 years. Well, the wheel, when they invented the wheel, they invented the wheel. You know, boxing has been invented. The wheel is invented. No one's going to improve it. It's a circle. Okay? So that's my final thoughts.
All right. Well, guys, here's what I want. So I know you hear guys that say stuff like this, right? Take this information, right? And again, you don't have to take our word, even though we Haplotype showed you the gloves on camera, but you can grab these gloves yourselves. Okay, go to a sporting store, right? And you know, I'm sure some of them you could put them on, feel the knuckle, do it yourself, right? You don't have to take our word for it. You could go do it yourself, right? You could go do the same thing with an MMA glove, right? And that's what I'll ask you guys to do. Okay, I know you guys go to Walmart. Okay, even though the boxing gloves suck there, but still, you know, you could do the same thing. All right. Now, don't use the so-called bag gloves that the UFC sells. Okay, those are atrocious. All right. But it's just boxing gloves from boxing brands. And also remember, okay, those are not the ones that the pros wear in the ring. All right. So keep that in mind too. You know, make sure you do that. Okay. I hope
Yeah, I just say, like, if there's a real boxing store near you, look at the gloves there, not at, Walmart would work too, but if you have the chance to feel some real boxing gloves, do that.
Go ahead and do that. Okay. And also, again, keep in mind, not only do the boxing gloves protect, and we didn't even get into hand wraps here, right? We didn't even get into that. Okay, the way they wrap their hands for professional prize fight, right? It protects your hand even more, right? So you're able to hit even harder than you would. Okay, if you have boxing gloves yourselves, right? I'm not saying punch it with everything you got, but hit a brick wall, right? You'll notice that you're now again. I'm being very clear here. Don't hit it extremely hard. Just hit it. All right, like hit it lightly or whatever, and then hit it with your bare fist. These are actually things you could do yourselves. Okay, and not listening to this garbage that you're hearing in the media, all right, by Skip Bayless and all this bullshit about the big pillowy gloves, and even guys like Joe Rogan who claim they know a lot about combat sports, and Joe Rogan does. But even he says ignorant things like the big pillowy gloves, right? It's about time people understand, right, that you can actually feel the gloves yourselves, okay? So that's all I'm going to ask people to do, right? If you could share this video, please do, right? And we cover the gloves at the very beginning of the video, so it's not like people have to listen to the whole thing. But hopefully this was a good educational video for you guys. And that's why it was done, okay? We took time out of our day to go ahead and do this, okay? And bro, I did not forget about the Malinaji thing. I'm just gonna, I want to do that on its own separate video, okay? And I'm gonna be talking about the Malinaji thing tomorrow, okay? Tomorrow afternoon, going out Friday night. So tomorrow afternoon, I guess that's already Friday for you guys, but afternoon I'll be doing that video of the whole Malinaji McGregor thing. Another reason I'm waiting is because the next morning, like when guys wake up, Okay, they thought about what they said. They'll tweet out some more stuff. Some more information will come out. So I'll do a video then. All right. Anyway, Haplotype, thanks for joining me, man.
Always, man. I appreciate you having me on.
All right, peace out, guys.